love you.
So we wanted to say that.
Sorry. I really like you, and I just wanted to meet you.
Hi. My favorite thing about this, is this yours? Yeah. Good Norwegian water.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Charles McGlashan. I'm County Supervisor for Marin and represent the Southern District of the county, basically everything south of Mount Tam. Lori Grace lives in my district, is a great supporter for Marin Clean Energy, and is a good friend, and she and I have been talking on and off about election integrity. And as you know, we were all scared witless after the shenanigans of 2000 and 2004, and there's some legitimate cause for ongoing nervousness. And Lori mentioned this Humboldt County transparency project in Mitch's software that might allow better transparency and a good sort of double check of the way elections are being tabulated. As you can imagine, a guy in my business where I depend on accurate votes, if indeed I earn those votes, or especially if I didn't earn them, you want to make sure that the right people are getting elected, and it's critically important to the integrity of our entire system of government, so it's something that near and dear to my heart. So I'm intrigued to see what the software has to offer, and very intrigued to hear about what Humboldt County is up to. I did talk to our ROV, Elaine Genold, about this, and she's got some concerns and worries. I guess she's talked to Secretary Bowen and others, and we're trying to figure out where Marin should be in some of these pilot experiments with better transparency. So hopefully I can help be an ally of all of yours and the movement to try to push things along in Marin County as appropriate. So I'll be doing some homework after tonight, and I'm very interested to hear what's in store. So with that, I should turn the podium over to Lori, who will take it from here. Thanks everybody for coming.
So I really want to welcome you all here. I'm so glad you care about your democracy and you care about your vote. And that's really where I came from in my choosing to get involved with the issue of election integrity so long ago. Just to let you know, I'm the founding director of the Grace Institute for Democracy and Election Integrity and for the Sunrise Center. And I'm also a member of the Election Integrity Funding Circle at Threshold Foundation, where I was also a co-founder. And I first got interested in election integrity issues when I learned from Greg Palast and Bob Greenwald that computer manipulations had occurred in Florida in the year 2000. And it was organized by Choice Point, and I later have learned through the direction, under the direction of Karl Rove. And it was designed to help George Bush become a winner in Florida, starting with those key races in Florida. Of course, there were other issues like the Supreme Court decision that came out, but the possibilities of changing the results of elections on a massive scale using computers continued to haunt me, and still does even now. Shortly afterwards, I learned about Diebold placing their user manual on the internet, and also their software, to be able to download the GEM software, and about the possibility that tabulators could be changed remotely using Microsoft Access. And that can't happen anymore, thankfully, due to Deborah Bowen, who has made sure to disconnect our tabulators from internet transfer. I'm not exactly sure what happens for the San Rafael to Sacramento in the presidential, but at least within our county, we have the transfer of memory cards by car, hopefully with a member of both parties. But with respect to having the Diebold user manual and the actual tabulating software on the internet, I actually downloaded that with a computer friend of mine onto the computer in the year 2003, and I had the Schwarzenegger election on my computer. And if I had known the password at that time, which was later revealed in hot in Fox News to be 1111. I just don't know. I guess I wasn't smart enough to think of a password like that. I could have actually altered the votes of the election. Not that I really would, but I mean, but that's you know, that sort of horrified me as well on one level, that anybody who happened to check the internet and Beverly Harris had saved it would be able to do this. Now, additionally, in the same year, I was also horrified to learn that the Diebold system, in fact, the Diebold system we use right here in Marin County, and the one especially 100% solid for the vote by mail system here in Marin County, was designed by a man named Jeff Dean, who had 27 counts of felony against him for creating a program to steal money through computers. And that is the vote-by-mail system that we use to this day. It was done through Global Election Systems, and he was still in jail at the time. He was on a work relief program. And imagine hiring this. Well, who hired him? It was his brother, okay? His brother was trying to give him a break and designed the system to steal it. So it made me feel very uncomfortable.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, I felt very uncomfortable that my voting system is designed by felons with a history of computer fraud. Doesn't stimulate my need for trust or help it along. And that was, GES was bought later by Diebold, which has kept a lot of its software the same. And Mitch Trachtenberg here today has helped me understand why it's always the same even when it's faulty. It costs sometimes $500,000 to change it and recertify it with California. So we stick with old programs, and he'll tell you about a workaround that got lost in Humboldt County that was a cost saver for Diebold. So this is the system that we have here. You know, I've been so proud of Marin County and so proud of supporting Marin Clean Energy. You can imagine, as an election integrity activist, my dismay to learn that we use Diebold. I mean, I was busy in 2004 stopping Wally Odell, the president of Diebold, from delivering Ohio to Bush. And there are so many different ways in which Diebold has acted quite arrogant. It really bothered me that we have that we're tied up with that particular system. For example, just a simple one. In July of 2008, Diebold finally admitted that it routinely drops votes when they go from the precinct level to the main level. In this case, it would be San Rafael. From Bolinas, let's say, or from Tiburon, or whatever. It routinely drops votes, and they just basically said, you know, live with it. All right, we've admitted it. They had lied for 10 years. Live with it, okay? And then the thing that really, some new things that also disturbed me recently, which is that, you know, I mentioned to you that I had been concerned about stealing votes from a remote access. Well, that thankfully had been changed here in California, but it is still 100% easy to steal votes within the election office. All right, let me explain how. Well, I just learned today in about an hour consult with Bev Harris of Black Box Voting. Has anyone heard of her? Yeah? Okay. All right, basically, you have your GEM software, okay? It's not really changed from the early GEM softwares that were accessible. Okay, and then if I want to do something to the GEM software that counts my votes, I make a copy of it. I'm not a computer tech kind of person, so I really am grateful that I finally understood. You make a copy of the GEM software onto my thumb drive, okay? Then I walk it home, I stick it into my computer, I make some adjustments to the software, and then I go back to the central tabulator, plug it in, voila.
So it has to be somebody on the inside.
What?
It has to be someone on the
Or somebody,
Someone has to have access.
or somebody on the inside, or somebody that is friends of somebody on the inside, or, you know.
Right, it has to be an inside job.
But there's also things where the chain of custody isn't good. For example, for ballots that are kept in the vault, in Marin County, in contrast to some other counties, there's no sign in, sign out. There's just the vault. And then there's an oath that they all took to protect the integrity of the elections, and they signed. But there is no log where you say, okay, you know, just like you would in a safe, in a bank vault, you know, you sign your name, the time, then you go into the vault. And there isn't any of that. So you can't track your ballots that well, okay? So that's another problem. But I wanted to let you know that, unfortunately, both because of Diebold itself and its own attitudes, and because of the possibility of copying things with Microsoft Access and taking them home and putting them back in, we are not able to feel secure about our own GEM software. Not that I would feel very secure about GEM software anyway, because I'm not impressed with it and with Diebold. The other thing that has bothered me that's come forward is actually we have only one person managing our central tabulator in the office. And if that person was a little bit off, you know, I mean, that person could, you know, do the copying, and there's no oversight. There's not like two people looking, okay, what are you doing on that central tabulator? There's none of that, okay? And so, anyway, it can be copied many times. So, and then additionally, in the vote by mail system, there's no oversight in the back room when they come in the mail. There's no oversight for putting them in the scanner. It's not like there's a Republican and a Democrat or a Green or whatever watching. They're just the guy in the back room, you know, or girl or whatever, woman putting them in the back room. And so there isn't oversight there either. So there are lots of opportunities to create lack of integrity. And so as an election integrity activist and somebody, just an ordinary citizen who really wants to trust her vote, I have to say I feel there are a lot of dismay. Now, I want to let you know that none of the other systems are by any means faultless. ES&S, Sequoia, Hardinger Civic, all of those have problems. Okay, so one of the things that got me excited was a dual counting system. And Mitch Trachtenberg is proposing that. And how much safer could we feel if we had two tabulators counting our votes? The other thing about Mitch's system is it's an open system. So Diebold, if you're questioning the votes on Diebold, they will not let you see their tabulator or their programmer or their source code, nothing. In fact, when we were, has anyone here heard of the Princeton hack? No? Okay, you did. Okay, that was where they had it on CNN and Fox News, where it took two graduate students just a little bit of time and a professor to create a hack into the Diebold tabulator. And you used like a common bar key, and they still kept the bar key the same even to this day. And actually a drawing of it was made on the internet. But you can get a bar key anyway. You open up the tabulator, put in the new memory card, and you can change the elections. And in order to study that tabulator, we actually had to have a cooperating supervisor who just gave us two machines from Florida, because they wouldn't. The company would not. They said it's proprietary. Our source code is proprietary. Our way of counting is proprietary, and they also cost a lot because you have to use these expert technicians. Okay. So anyway, I feel very excited that you're all here, and I know many of you have an investment in what happens with our own political process. Well, if you want to be able to trust your own vote, if you want to be able to feel good about receiving campaign donations, you know, from somebody for your next campaign, if you want to, hopefully we can persuade the media to actually trust this more and not be so scared of bringing up this issue, then we get it, hopefully, what I'm hoping is that if we can get enough people to, you know, want this kind of system, we can create a positive swell of energy. And right now, our Marin County Supervisor doesn't want anything to do with it, and she's worried about Deborah Bowen. But actually, Deborah Bowen, I sat with Deborah Bowen and with Lowell Finley, and they very much approve and like Mitch Trachtenberg's system. But they themselves were kind of afraid of introducing it because they were afraid of irritating the ROVs and getting on the wrong side. So what I did, and a light bulb went off in me, is I decided to create an election integrity award for outstanding, you know, contributions to the area of election integrity and transparency to be awarded to registrars of voters that qualify, and possibly even a Secretary of State. And I think that if Deborah Bowen did not so actively push for the vote by mail, some of which is for the reasons that I told you, she might be a qualifying person for this award. But right now we have 2 award winners, and that's going to be done in December, and their departments. Because what I found is behind every inspired registrar is a small team, okay? And one of them is Carolyn Sternich, and Mitch is part of her team, and he'll explain who the other people are. I haven't met them. And then the other one that has qualified for this election, who's going to put all the votes through this different tabulator, is Freddie Oakley of Yolo County, yes, and Tom Stanionis, who's right behind her, okay? Other possible interests that are starting to perk up are San Francisco County. They're the Election Advisory Committee or something, Eva, if I get it right. They are the ones in charge of the choices. Did I get you right?
No, the Voting System Task Force is going to make recommendations to the Election Commission.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, they are interested in trying it in a few precincts. I would like to let you know that it's very inexpensive, and it costs maybe about $2,000 to spend on volunteers, well, not volunteers, but $10 to $15 an hour workers to put the ballot in, you know. And I have offered this to Elaine Janot 3 times for free. And she's not excited about it yet, but I'm hoping that with a groundswell of interest, we could even get it going, and we will offer it to her for free, if you give it enough, if there's enough groundswell of interest, we'll do it this election for free. And you know, as I said, Deborah Bowen is actually very, very much in favor of this. But she's being very careful in how she, you know, manages her campaign. She's trying to get reelected. And we have people on the other side, Karl Rove among them, who doesn't have any compunctions about doing a little changes along the way, because he really believes that he's got the right idea for our country. Now, that's just one person, but I'm just saying, aside from that, just to create more honesty and more trust, look at the voter confidence this is going to create. If we have 2 counting systems, fabulous, you know? And one of them is transparent, where everybody can look at it, you know? I mean, talk about that being exciting. I think so. And we'll get more people voting. So with that, I think I want to switch over to Mitch here. And, you know, he describes himself as the nerd, and I'm I'm the juice. And so between us, you know, we're seeking to promote this. And I have nothing wrong with hand counts, by the way, but those have not been popular with any because of the cost and management involved. So, and they don't have to have that, but it seems too confusing. So Mitch's system has attracted the energy of Deborah Bowen and others, and that's what I'm promoting at the moment. And in December, we're going to have a major award here in the Showcase Theater, and we're going to have Election Transparency Award Night on the electronic billboard.
Has the county agreed to that already?
What?
Has the county agreed to that already?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay.
And I also think it's important to note at this time that Mitch has been invited by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which is working with the Election Assistance Commission in Washington, D.C. that is doing something good. And they have asked Mitch to do you're working in 4 counties to scan ballots, three counties to scan ballots. So
really?
This concept is
wow.
getting some recognition at the national level inside the Beltway, which is profound.
Yes.
But I think
and just one last little comment for the safety of your own ballot in this election. If you you know I had decided to get an permanent absentee ballot because I thought that would guarantee me paper. It's actually not as safe because of the supervising that is missing. So if you want to be really the surest about your vote, either switch back to being a precinct voter or, you know, slightly less good. No, I guess equally good. Eva is equally good. Take your ballot, your absentee ballot to a precinct.
it's still absentee. It's how it's counted. The absentee ballots are counted after.
So I would also start a movement for switching back to precinct voting, where we can have more oversight. So thank you, everybody. And here's the deal. And I've been involved with some things that are more problematic, like you're talking about, but really from my heart, what I want to do is to be able to trust my own vote and for other people to trust theirs. And there is a meeting place that comes with that, and a profound sense of commitment to our shared democracy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I come from a family where I happen to vote more sort of Green/Democrat, and my family are all very strong Republicans. Mm-hmm. And in fact, my one brother was a Bush Ranger. But there's a place where we could come together.
Absolutely.
And these are my brothers that I grew up with, you know, that we all want to trust our own vote.
Yeah, I'll just, you know, close with this a little bit, that in Santa Clara County, in Silicon Valley, if I had Carl Guardino, who is the CEO for the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, representing major manufacturing Silicon Valley technology companies, so if I had him, if I had Pat Dando, the CEO of the Silicon Valley Chamber of Commerce, if I had the League of Women Voters person, if I had certain key civic leaders in different sectors of the community, if I had maybe 20 people in Silicon Valley and Santa Clara County who would like sign on to this on the basis, again, not of accusation, but of an integrity-based thinking of democracy, it would be a whole different way of approaching the registrar of voters or other elected. If a group of 20 people that I could probably, you know, create in 10 minutes were to sign on, immediately right behind them would be elected officials who would sign on, you know, and then what we would be creating then is a kind of like a strike team that would be working with essentially the authority of this assembled leadership across the spectrum to then sit down and start having a conversation with the powers that be, including obviously the registrar of voters. But we would, you know, link it to the state leadership because it's going to have implications, so we can form it as an incubation project, as a demonstration project, as a testing type of project. It could be sold really well. I mean, it would fly.
There's an election commission in Santa Clara County that I emailed one of the commissioners about this, and I think that might be one place, or I'd be happy to talk to you about this,
Yeah.
to get those stakeholders together at that election commission meeting, because the ROV there is, like, the pushback is just
Well, see, I mean,
enormous.
great. What I would want is a rep or reps from the election commission that you're referring to, for us not to meet in their bailiwick. I want them to meet over in this bailiwick that we're going to create, because we want to recontextualize the playing field before we even engage the conversation.
Yeah, but still, it's partnership in creating a critical mass that is educated and knows what this project is and what it can do for that critical mass to.
So when I have heard the word critical mass, how I interpret it is, you want more and more people. You want as many people as you can get.
Tipping, yeah.
Okay, and what I'm saying is that you don't need critical mass to break that door open. What you need is a nucleus of stakeholders that represent the spectrum that will pull with them other leadership. Like I said, it'll immediately start expanding. You know, and you can do it in Silicon Valley with 20 to 50 people if they represent certain sectors across the spectrum, you know, what have you, without 1,000 or 5,000
All
or
right,
10,000.
by critical mass, okay, that's different. A tipping point, or no, what you described was a critical mass that is well-informed and able to move and in a decision-making leadership position to move forward with this. That's what I meant by critical mass. I didn't mean 10,000, 20,000 people.
Yeah, you can do this with under 50 people. Like, in Silicon Valley is about 1 million, almost 2 million residents now. You could do it with 50 people, bust this thing wide open, but it depends on who those 50 people are, you know.
You know, Manuel, another reason why I'm creating an award for excellence in the field of election transparency and integrity is to be able to honor the ROVs that basically stick their neck out or whatever, and to create a real recognition of what that has taken for some of them. And we just have an expanding interest, and I'm just very happy about it.
Right.
So, you know, I can vibe in with what you're saying.
You could be
And
next
I
to win the
agree
award.
with the, you know, having an informed group is the best. Yeah, it could be even a mixture
Yeah,
of more grassroots plus the informed.
yeah.
So we're going to set it up.
So are you willing to be the point person in Santa Clara County?
Oh, sure. No. I'm caught up in an election right now, and I have 10,000 things on, you know, but I do want to work with this issue. It is worthy of being lifted up and moved forward.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Please do sign in on our sheet there so we can keep in touch with you.
I actually live in San Francisco.
Thank you all for coming.
Oh, thank you. This is great. This is exciting.
It looks like.
I'm nerdy enough. Love I just did every